Hello, and welcome to EFL USA. I'm Grace, and if this is your first time here, I want you to know exactly why you're here. You're here because somewhere, sometime, someone asked you a question in English, and your brain just stopped. Your mouth opened, but nothing came out. Your mind went completely blank, and that moment felt terrible. Today, we are going to talk about exactly that moment, why it happens, and how to fix it step by step so it never controls you again. Before we start, I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes for just a second, or if you're driving or walking, just imagine this in your mind. You are sitting across from someone. Maybe it's a manager, maybe it's someone at an office. And they look at you and they say, "So, tell me about yourself." That's it. Just 5 words, simple words, words you already know. Tell me about yourself. But in that moment, could you answer right away? Could you speak in 3 seconds without translating, first in your head? Or did your mind go quiet, blank, frozen? Be honest with yourself. Most people freeze right there. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and exactly what to do instead. My name is Grace, and I work with people just like you. Every single day, people who understand more English than they think, but who freeze the moment they need to speak it out loud, especially in situations that matter, like job interviews. Today's lesson is going to give you real tools, real sentences, and a real story about someone who went through exactly this and came out the other side more confident. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly what to say and how to say it without freezing. If you're new here, please subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss these daily lessons. We publish new, practical English lessons every single day, lessons made for real situations, not just grammar books. Okay, let's begin. I want to introduce you to someone. Her name is Daniela. Daniela moved to the United States about 8 months ago. Her English was actually pretty good. She could read English easily. She could understand most of what people said to her. But speaking out loud, especially under pressure, that was different. That was hard for her. Last week, Daniela had a job interview. It was for a position at a small company, an office job, something she really wanted. She prepared for days. She practiced in the mirror. She wrote notes. She felt ready. But then something happened. The moment she sat down across from the interviewer, a woman named Mrs. Collins. Her heart started beating fast. Her hands felt cold. And then Mrs. Collins smiled and said the words that so many of us fear. "So, Daniela, tell me a little bit about yourself." And Daniela froze. Her mind, which had been full of English words just minutes before in the car, suddenly felt completely empty. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. She looked down at her hands. 5 seconds passed. 10 seconds passed. It felt like an hour. Mrs. Collins waited patiently. But Daniela could feel her face getting hot with embarrassment. Have you ever felt that? That exact feeling? where you know the words, you've used them before, but in that moment they disappear? I want you to say yes in your mind if you have, because almost everyone watching this video has felt exactly what Daniela felt in that chair. Now, here's something important I want you to understand, and this is the real reason you freeze. It's not because you don't know English. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's because your brain is trying to translate first and then speak. Translating takes time. It takes energy. And under pressure, that process just breaks down completely. The solution isn't to know more words. The solution is to have ready-made phrases so automatic that you don't have to think. You just say them. That's exactly what we're going to build together today. Let's go back to Daniela. After those long, quiet seconds, Daniela took a breath. She remembered something Grace, that's me, had taught her in a lesson just like this one. She remembered one simple sentence, a sentence that doesn't require you to think of everything about your whole life. She said, I'm sorry. Could you give me 1 second? And then she took one breath and she began. I have 3 years of experience in customer service, and I'm someone who works well with people. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't long. But it was clear, and it was enough. Mrs. Collins nodded and smiled, and the interview continued. Now let's practice that first survival sentence together, because this is one of the most powerful sentences you can learn today. Now, listen carefully. I'm sorry. Could you give me 1 second? Now, shadow it with me. Say it out loud right now, even if you're alone. I'm sorry. Could you give me 1 second? This sentence buys you time. It sounds polite. It sounds confident, not weak. And it gives your brain just enough time to catch up. Let's shadow it again, a little faster this time. Could you give me 1 second? Now say it one more time on your own. Could you give me 1 second? Good. This is your emergency sentence. Keep it in your pocket for any moment you freeze. Now, what about you? Have you ever been in an interview, or a meeting, or even just a phone call where you needed exactly this kind of sentence but didn't have it ready? Think about that moment right now. And know that after today, you will have it ready. Let's go deeper into Daniela's story, because what happened next is exactly why this lesson exists. After Daniela gave her simple answer, Mrs. Collins asked another question. What are your qualifications for this position? And again, Daniela felt that small flutter of panic. Qualifications. She knew the word. She had read it many times on websites, on job postings. But saying it, using it naturally in a sentence, in the moment, that felt different. This is exactly why today's lesson focuses on job interviews and work situations, because this is one of the 5 areas where English really matters in daily American life, and it's one of the areas where freezing costs you the most. A job, an opportunity, money for your family. So let's slow down and build your vocabulary the right way. The way that actually sticks, not just memorizing a list, but using each word in a real sentence right now, out loud. Our first word is qualifications. Listen to the word, qualifications. Now repeat after me. Qualifications. One more time, say it slowly. Qualifications. Good. Now, what does this word mean? In simple words, qualifications means the skills, the experience, and the education you have that make you good for a job. It's everything that makes you the right person. Here's an example sentence. My qualifications include 5 years of experience and a certificate in accounting. Let's hear it one more time. My qualifications include 5 years of experience and a certificate in accounting. Now, shadow it with me. My qualifications include 5 years of experience. Say it again on your own, using your own experience if you can. Here's a second example. I believe my qualifications match what you're looking for. Shadow it with me. I believe my qualifications match what you're looking for. Now, I want you to say one sentence using this word right now, even a short one. Just try it. My qualifications are, and finish it however feels true for you. Let's move to our second word. This word is availability. Listen. Availability. Repeat after me. Availability. One more time, slowly. Availability. Good. This word means the days and times you are free and ready to work. In simple words, when can you start? When can you work? Here's an example. My availability is Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Shadow it with me. My availability is Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Let's try another example. I have full availability starting next week. Shadow it. I have full availability starting next week. Now you try. Think about your own schedule and say your own sentence about your availability. Out loud, right now. Have you ever been asked about your availability and felt unsure how to answer quickly? This happens to so many people because we think about the answer in our own language first, and then we try to translate it, and that's exactly where the freeze happens. But now, with this sentence ready in your mind, you don't have to think. You just say it. Let's continue with Daniela's interview because her story isn't finished yet, and there's an important lesson coming. When Mrs. Collins asked about her qualifications, Daniela took a breath, and this time, instead of panicking, she used a sentence very close to the one we just practiced. She said, my qualifications include 3 years in customer service, and I'm very comfortable talking with people and solving problems. It wasn't a perfect sentence. Her accent was there. But it was clear, it was confident, and most importantly, it was ready. She didn't have to build it from nothing in that moment. She had practiced sentences like this before, many times, with lessons just like this one. This is exactly the secret. Confidence in English doesn't come from knowing every word in the dictionary. It comes from having ready-made sentences for the situations, shans, that matter most to you. Now let's continue building your survival toolkit for job interviews. Our third word is reference. Listen to it. Reference. Repeat after me. Reference. One more time. Refer. ence. This word means a person, usually someone you worked with before, who can tell an employer good things about you. In simple words, someone who can say, yes, this person is good. Here's an example sentence. I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Shadow it with me. I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Here's another example. My reference said I'm reliable and hardworking. Shadow it now. My reference said I'm reliable and hardworking. Now, try making your own sentence with this word. Think about someone who could be your reference and say a sentence about them out loud. Let's add our fourth word, and this one is a little longer but very useful. Salary expectations. Listen carefully. Salary expectations. Repeat after me. Salary expectations. One more time, slowly. Salary expectations. This means the amount of money you hope or expect to earn for a job. It's a common and sometimes uncomfortable question, but knowing how to answer it changes everything. Here's an example. My salary expectations are between $18 and $20 an hour. Shadow it with me. My salary expectations are between $18 and $20 an hour. Here's another way to say it, a softer way, if you're not sure yet. I'm open to discussing salary based on the responsibilities of the role. Shadow that one too. I'm open to discussing salary based on the responsibilities of the role. This sentence is very useful because it gives you time and flexibility without freezing. Now imagine, for a moment, that you are the one in that interview chair and someone asks you, what are your salary expectations? Before today, that question might have made you nervous, might have made your mind go blank. But now, you have two ready sentences. You don't need to build anything from zero. You just speak. Let's practice our fifth and final word for this section. The word is follow up. Listen. Follow up. Repeat after me. Follow up. One more time. Follow up. This means to contact someone again after a meeting or interview to check on something or continue a conversation. In simple words, checking back in. Here's an example sentence. I'll follow up with you by email next week. Shadow it with me. I'll follow up with you by email next week. Here's one more example. Thank you for your time. I'll follow up if I have any questions. Shadow it now. Thank you for your time. I'll follow up if I have any questions. Try your own version now, imagining you just finished an interview. You're doing wonderfully so far. Every single word we just practiced, qualifications, availability, reference, salary expectations, follow up. These are not random words. These are the exact words that appear again and again in real job interviews across the United States. And now, they are becoming part of your own vocabulary, ready to use the moment you need them. Let's go back to Daniela one more time. Off, because the interview is almost over, and something important happens at the end. After talking about her experience and her availability, Mrs. Collins asked one more question. Do you have any references we could contact? And this time, Daniela didn't freeze at all. She smiled, and she said, yes, I can provide a reference from my previous supervisor. She can speak about my work ethic and reliability." Mrs. Collins smiled back, clearly impressed, and wrote something down on her notes, Then, at the very end of the interview, Mrs. Collins asked about salary. Daniela felt that small flutter again, but this time she remembered her ready sentence. She said, "I'm open to discussing salary based on the responsibilities of the role." Mrs. Collins nodded and said that was a very professional answer. As the interview ended, Daniela stood up, shook hands with Mrs. Collins, and said, "Thank you so much for your time today. I'll follow up by email if that's all right." And Mrs. Collins said, "Of course, we'll be in touch soon." Walking out of that office, Daniela felt something completely different than she felt walking in. She wasn't perfect. Her English wasn't flawless. But she had spoken clearly, calmly, and confidently, using exactly the kind of ready-made sentences we've been practicing together today. I want you to notice something here. Daniela didn't become fluent overnight. She didn't magically know every word in English. What changed was that she had practiced these specific sentences, these specific situations, again and again, until they became automatic, until they stopped requiring translation and started just coming out naturally. This is exactly what we are building together in this video. Building together in this video. Nis Injna pays, and it's exactly what we build every single day here on this channel. Let's pause for a moment and do a quick review, because repetition is how these sentences become truly automatic, part of your muscle memory, not just something you remember for 5 minutes. Let's shadow our key vocabulary one more time, a little faster this time. Qualifications. Shadow it. Availability. Shadow it. Reference. Shadow it. Salary expectations. Shadow it. Follow up. Shadow it. Wonderful. Your brain is already building stronger connections with each repetition. Now, let's shadow our full example sentences together. One more time, back to back, like a real interview conversation. Listen first, then shadow each line. Tell me about yourself. I have 3 years of experience in customer service, and I'm someone who works well with people. Shadow that answer now. What are your qualifications? My qualifications include experience and strong communication skills. Shadow that now. What's your availability? My availability is Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Shadow that now. Do you have any references? Yes. I can provide a reference from my previous supervisor. Shadow that now. What are your salary expectations? I'm open to discussing salary based on the responsibilities of the role. Shadow that now. Do you feel that? Do you feel how much more ready you feel right now compared to when this video started? That feeling, that's not an accident. That's exactly what happens when you practice real sentences for real situations. Out loud, again and again. I know this lesson is long, and I know we still have more to practice together. Faster response drills, more real situations, and the rest of Daniela's story. So let's keep going, because your English is getting stronger with every single sentence you shadow with me today. Let's keep building on everything you've practiced so far, because Daniela's story doesn't end at the interview door, and there's a moment coming up that many of you will recognize immediately: the phone call that comes after. 3 days after her interview, Daniela was at home, folding laundry when her phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was an unknown number, a local area code. Her heart jumped a little. "Could this be Mrs. Collins?" she answered, trying to sound calm. "Hello, this is Daniela." The voice on the other end was cheerful and fast. "Hi, Daniela. This is Karen calling from the office, following up on your interview with Mrs. Collins." And immediately, Daniela felt that same old fear rising in her chest, because phone calls are different from face-to-face conversations. There's no face to read, no body language to help you understand. Just words. Fast words coming through a small speaker. Karen kept talking quickly. "We'd love to move forward with the next step, which is a short phone interview with our operations manager. Would you be available this Thursday, sometime between 2 and 4 in the afternoon?" And for a second, just a second, Daniela's mind went quiet again. Thursday, 2 to 4. Was she free then? What day was today? Her brain tried to calculate everything at once, in English, under pressure, on the phone, without any preparation. Does this sound familiar to you? That exact feeling, when someone is speaking quickly and asking you something specific, and you need to answer immediately, not in 5 minutes, not after you've translated it carefully in your notebook, but right now, in real time. This is one of the hardest parts of using English in daily American life, and it's exactly what we're going to strengthen right now together. Let's go back to Daniela's moment and slow it down. Instead of freezing completely, she remembered another simple survival sentence, one that works perfectly on the phone. She said, "Could you say that one more time, please?" And Karen, without any problem at all, repeated the day and time slowly. Thursday, between 2 and 4. This gave Daniela exactly what she needed: a second chance to hear the information clearly without any embarrassment at all. Let's practice that sentence together right now. Listen, could you say that one more time, please? Repeat after me. Could you say that one more time, please? One more time, a little slower. Could you say that one more time, please? Good. This sentence is polite, professional, and completely normal to use, even for native speakers. Nobody will think less of you for asking someone to repeat something. In fact, they will think you are careful and attentive. Let's add one more phone survival sentence to your toolkit. Sometimes, instead of asking someone to repeat, you need a moment to think. Listen to this one. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. Shadow it with me. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. One more time. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. This sentence buys you time, exactly like the sentence we learned earlier, and it sounds completely natural, because that's exactly what people really do when someone asks about their availability. Boom! Daniela used almost this exact sentence. She said, "Let me just check my schedule for a moment." And then she looked at her calendar on the wall, took a breath, and said, "Yes, Thursday at 3 would work well for me." Karen said, "Perfect. We'll call you then." And the call ended. Notice something important here. Daniela didn't need perfect grammar. She didn't need to sound like a native speaker from a movie. She needed clear, simple, ready sentences and the calm confidence that comes from having practiced them before this moment ever happened. That confidence is exactly what we are building in you right now, sentence by sentence. Now, what about you? Have you ever received a phone call in English that moved faster than you could think? Maybe about a job, maybe about an appointment, maybe about anything at all? I want you to remember that feeling for just a second, and then let it go. Because after this lesson, you'll have exactly the sentences you need for that next call. Let's move now into faster practice, because building true confidence means training your brain to respond quickly, almost automatically, without stopping to build each sentence from nothing. This next part is going to feel like a workout for your mouth and your brain together. So stay with me. I'm going to give you sentence patterns, simple frames that you can use again and again in almost any job interview or work situation. We'll practice each pattern with several different endings, quickly, one after another, so your brain starts to feel how flexible and useful these patterns really are. Our first pattern is, I have experience in. Listen. I have experience in customer service. Shadow it. I have experience in customer service. Now listen to another ending. I have experience in retail. Shadow it. I have experience in retail. One more. I have experience in office work. Shadow it. I have experience in office work. One more. I have experience in food service. Shadow it. I have experience in food service. Do you see how one pattern, one simple frame, can carry so many different meanings? This is exactly how fluent speakers sound fast and confident, not because they know more grammar, but because they have strong, flexible patterns ready in their mind. Let's move to our second pattern. I'm available to listen. I'm available to start immediately. Shadow it. I'm available to start immediately. Another one. I'm available to work weekends. Shadow it. I'm available to work weekends. Another one. I'm available to come in for a second interview. Shadow it. I'm available to come in for a second interview. One more. I'm available to discuss this further. Shadow it. I'm available to discuss this further. Let's add our third pattern. One that's especially useful after an interview or a call, exactly like what Daniela needed. I'd like to follow up on. Listen. I'd like to follow up on our conversation from last week. Shadow it. I'd like to follow up on our conversation from last week. Another one. I'd like to follow up on my application. Shadow it. I'd like to follow up on my application. One more. I'd like to follow up on the position we discussed. Shadow it. I'd like to follow up on the position we discussed. Now let's practice our fourth pattern, one that helps you ask questions clearly and confidently instead of staying silent because you're not sure how to ask. Could you tell me more about? Listen. Could you tell me more about the schedule? Shadow it. Could you tell me more about the schedule? Another one. Could you tell me more about the responsibilities? Shadow it. Could you tell me more about the responsibilities? One more. Could you tell me more about the next steps? Shadow it. Could you tell me more about the next steps? You're moving faster now, and I want you to feel that. Notice how your mouth is starting to move more smoothly with each pattern. This is exactly what real fluency feels like being built. Not through memorizing long lists of vocabulary, but through practicing flexible, useful patterns until they become automatic. Ma di bino aspidez. Let's add one more layer to this practice. Because real conversations don't come one sentence at a time, they come as an exchange, back and forth. And I want you to feel that rhythm too. I'll play both roles for a moment. The interviewer and you, and I want you to answer out loud. In the pause, before I give you the example answer, imagine the interviewer asks, "Can you tell me about your work experience?" Take a breath and try to answer in your own words, right now, out loud. Now listen to an example answer. I have experience in customer service, and I'm very comfortable talking with people. Shadow that answer. I have experience in customer service, and I'm very comfortable talking with people. Let's try another one. The interviewer asks, "When would you be able to start?" Try to answer on your own first. Now listen to an example. I'm available to start immediately, if needed. Shadow it now. I'm available to start immediately, if needed. One more. The interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions for me?" This question surprises so many people because we spend so much energy answering questions, we forget we're allowed to ask our own. Try answering on your own first. Now listen to an example. Yes, could you tell me more about the next steps in the process? Shadow it. Yes. Could you tell me more about the next steps in the process? You're building something powerful right now, a toolkit of real usable English, not English from a textbook, but English from real interviews, real phone calls, real moments where people just like you needed to respond quickly and clearly. Let's return to Daniela's story. One final time in this section, because Thursday came and the phone interview happened, and I want you to hear how everything we've practiced came together for her. At 3 o'clock on Thursday, Daniela's phone rang exactly on time. This time, she wasn't folding laundry. She was sitting at her kitchen table with a small notebook in front of her, not full of complicated sentences, just a few key words. Qualifications, availability, reference, salary, follow up, and next to each word, a short phrase she could use. The operations manager, a man named Mr. Torres, spoke clearly and kindly. He asked about her previous experience, and Daniela answered smoothly. I have experience in customer service, about 3 years, working directly with people every day. He asked about her availability, and she answered without hesitation. I'm available to start immediately, and I'm flexible with my schedule. At one point, he spoke a little fast about the company's shift rotation, and instead of panicking, Daniela simply said, "Could you say that one more time, please?" And Mr. Torres, without any problem, repeated it slower. Near the end of the call, Mr. Torres asked, "Do you have any questions for me?" And Daniela, remembering exactly what we just practiced together, said, "Yes. Could you tell me more about the next steps in the process?" Mr. Torres seemed pleasantly surprised by the clear, professional question, and he explained that they would make a decision by the end of the following week. Before hanging up, Daniela added, "Thank you so much for your time today. I'd like to follow up if I haven't heard back by then, if that's all right." Mr. Torres said that would be perfectly fine, and the call ended warmly. When Daniela put down her phone, she sat quietly for a moment at her kitchen table. She thought about the version of herself from just 1 week earlier, the one who froze completely when Mrs. Collins first asked her to talk about herself. And she realized something important. Something I want you to realize too, right now, in this moment. Confidence in English doesn't arrive all at once, like a light switch turning on. It arrives sentence by sentence, practice by practice, practice exactly like what we've been doing together today. Every single time you shadow a sentence, every single time you repeat a pattern out loud, you're building a small piece of that confidence, a piece that stays with you, ready for the next real moment when you need it. Now, I want you to think about your own life for a second. Maybe you don't have a job interview this week. Maybe you do. But somewhere in your life, there's a moment coming. A phone call, a meeting, a conversation with a manager where you'll need exactly the kind of English we've practiced today. And when that moment comes, I want you to remember this feeling right now, this feeling of having ready sentences, ready patterns, and a calm, steady breath. Let's do one more quick round of shadowing before we move forward, just to lock these patterns even deeper into your memory. Listen and shadow quickly, one after another. I have experience in. Shadow it. I'm available to. Shadow it. I'd like to follow up on. Shadow it. Could you tell me more about? Shadow it. Could you say that one more time, please? Shadow it. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. Shadow it. Wonderful. Your mouth is remembering these patterns now, and that muscle memory is exactly what will save you in a real moment when your mind might otherwise go blank. I know this has been a long, deep practice session, and you're doing an incredible job staying with me this far. There's still more ahead, more real situations, a few more powerful words, and the final part of Daniela's story, including some very good news. So, let's keep going together. because every single sentence brings you closer to speaking without freezing, without fear, and with real confidence. Let's continue exactly where we left off, because the most important part of Daniela's journey is still ahead, and I want you to feel every step of it with me. A full week passed after that phone interview with Mr. Torres. Daniela tried to stay calm, but every time her phone rang, her heart jumped a little, hoping it might be the company. She kept practicing every single day, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, listening to lessons just like this one, shadowing sentences, building her confidence, brick by brick, even without knowing yet if the job would be hers. Then, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, while Daniela was making dinner, her phone rang again, same unknown number as before. She wiped her hands on a towel, took one calm breath, remembering everything she had practiced, and answered. "Hello, this is Daniela." It was Mrs. Collins this time, the same woman from the very first interview. Her voice sounded warm, even happy. "Hi, Daniela, I have some good news for you. We'd love to offer you the position." For a moment, Daniela stood completely still in her kitchen, holding the phone, feeling her heart racing, but this time, not from fear, from excitement. She wanted to say something big, something meaningful, but in that first second, English words felt far away again, just like before. But this time, instead of freezing in silence, she used exactly the kind of ready sentence we've been building together. She said,
"Thank you."
"So much. I'm really happy to hear that. Simple, clear, true, and completely enough," Mrs. Collins continued, sounding pleased. "Wonderful. Now, let's talk a little about salary and start date, if that works for you." And here it was, the moment Daniela had actually been preparing for without even fully realizing it. The salary conversation, the exact situation we practiced earlier in this lesson. Mrs. Collins said, "Based on your experience, we'd like to offer $18 an hour. Does that work with your salary expectations?" And Daniela, instead of freezing, instead of just saying yes immediately out of nervousness, or saying nothing at all, used her ready sentence, adjusted slightly for this real moment. She said, "Thank you. That sounds fair to me, and it matches what I was expecting for this role." It was calm. It was confident. It was clear. Mrs. Collins then asked about her availability to start, and Daniela answered smoothly, just like we practiced. "I'm available to start as early as next Monday, if that works well for the team." Mrs. Collins said that would be perfect, and before ending the call, she added one more thing. "We were really impressed with how clearly and confidently you communicate throughout this whole process, Daniela. It made a big difference for us." When Daniela hung up the phone, she stood in her kitchen for a long moment, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time, real, solid confidence. Not because her English was suddenly perfect, but because she had exactly the right words, ready, when it mattered most. I want you to sit with that feeling for a second, because that exact feeling That is the entire point of every single lesson we do together here on this channel. Not perfect English, not textbook English. Real, ready, usable English, exactly for the moments in your life that matter most. Now, before we finish today's lesson, I want to give your brain and your mouth one more round of fast, focused practice, because repetition, real repetition, out loud, again and again, is what turns knowledge into instinct. The kind of instinct that shows up automatically, even when you're nervous, even when your heart is racing, even in a real interview or a real phone call. Let's do a full speed round. I'll give you a short prompt, and I want you to answer immediately, out loud, before I give you an example. Ready? Tell me about yourself. Answer now, out loud. Now listen to an example. I have experience in customer service, and I enjoy working with people. Shadow it fast. I have experience in customer service, and I enjoy working with people. Next prompt. Someone asks, "What are your qualifications?" Answer now. Listen to an example. My qualifications include strong communication skills and relevant work experience. Shadow it fast. My qualifications include strong communication skills and relevant work experience. Next. Someone asks, "When can you start?" Answer now. Listen to an example. I'm available to start immediately. Shadow it fast. I'm available to start immediately. Next. Someone asks, "Do you have a reference?" Answer now. Listen to an example. Yes, I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Shadow it fast. Yes, I can provide a reference from my previous manager. Next, someone asks, "What are your salary expectations?" Answer now. Listen to an example. I'm open to discussing salary based on the role. Shadow it fast. I'm open to discussing salary based on the role. Next, someone speaks too fast on the phone. What do you say? Answer now. Listen to an example. Could you say that one more time, please? Shadow it fast. Could you say that one more time, please? Next, you need a moment to think. What do you say? Answer now. Listen to an example. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. Shadow it fast. Let me just check my schedule for a moment. Last one. The interview is ending. What do you say? Answer now. Listen to an example. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll follow up if I have any questions. Shadow it fast. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll follow up if I have any questions. How did that feel? I want you to notice something important. By the end of that round, your answers probably came faster, smoother, with less hesitation than at the very beginning of this lesson. That is not luck. That is exactly how real fluency grows. Through focused, repeated practice, out loud, again and again, until your brain stops translating and simply responds. Let's take one more moment before we close today's lesson. A calmer moment, because I want these sentences to settle gently into your memory, not just live there as something you memorized quickly. Take a slow breath with me. And now, quietly. In your mind or out loud, repeat these 5 words. One final time, slowly. Qualifications, availability, reference, salary expectations. Follow up. Feel how much more familiar they sound now compared to the beginning of this video. Daniela's story is a true reflection of something every single person watching this video can achieve. She didn't become fluent overnight. She didn't erase her accent. She didn't memorize a dictionary. What she did was simple. And it's exactly what you're doing right now, just by watching and practicing with me today. She built a small collection of ready sentences for the exact situations that mattered in her life, and she practiced them out loud again and again until they stopped feeling foreign and started feeling like her own words. That freezing moment, the one we talked about at the very beginning of this lesson, that blank, silent, terrifying pause, it doesn't disappear because you suddenly know more grammar rules. It fades away because you have real sentences ready, sentences your mouth already knows how to say, even when your mind feels nervous. So the next time someone asks you, "Tell me about yourself," or "What's your availability?" or "Could you say that again?" I want you to remember this lesson. Remember Daniela sitting nervously in that office chair, and remember your own voice right now, saying these sentences clearly, calmly, confidently. You did wonderful work today. You practiced real vocabulary, real patterns, and a real story, all built specifically to help you the next time you face a job interview, a work phone call, or any moment where English needs to come out quickly and clearly. This is exactly the kind of practical survival English we focus on here at EFL USA. English for real American life, not just English for exams. If this lesson helped you, please subscribe to the channel and tap the bell so you never miss a new lesson. Tomorrow, we're going to explore a different, equally important part of daily American life, the moment when you walk into a pharmacy and the pharmacist starts asking you questions about your medication quickly, and you need to understand and respond with confidence. That lesson will give you exactly the same kind of ready sentences built specifically for that situation. Until then, keep practicing a little every day, even just 5 or 10 minutes, because that's exactly how Daniela built her confidence, one small, consistent practice at a time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm proud of the work you did in this lesson, and I know that the next time your moment comes, you won't freeze. You'll simply speak